Welcome to RAS News. For centuries, that system worked. Through ritual law, spiritual sanctions, and moral authority, Nri held influence across Igbo land without a single army. But history does not stand still. As the wider world began to change, forces emerged that Nri's spiritual system was never designed to confront. New forms of wealth, new violence, new political ambitions, and eventually foreign rule. This episode tells the story of what happened when a 1,000-year spiritual order met a changing world, and how the power of Nri began to fade. By the 18th and 19th centuries, things began to change. The Atlantic slave trade brought new money and new violence. States like Benin, Igala, and powerful merchant networks such as Arochukwu grew more aggressive. European and coastal influences undermined old taboos. Nri influence shrank, but it didn't disappear. The Izeri and his Indinri still commanded respect in many places. Then the British came. From around 1905 to 1911, as they pushed inland after the Anglo-Arab War, British colonial officers began to see Nri as a serious obstacle to their rule. They tried several times to break Nri by force. Columns of soldiers moved towards Nri territory. There were clashes, raids, and attempts to seize the sacred town and arrest the Eze Nri himself. But every military attempt to capture Nri and the Eze Nri ended in failure. The British never managed to defeat Nri on battlefield. When guns didn't work, they changed tactics. Missionaries began attacking the old religion, calling Nri rituals pagan. The colonial government introduced warrant chiefs and tried to build a new power structure that ignored Nri. People were threatened and pressured to stop following Nri taboos and to recognize the new British-backed chiefs instead. But even with soldiers, churches, and warrant chiefs, Nri influence did not just disappear. So the British went after the heart of the system, the Eze Nri himself. They summoned Eze Nri Obalike to the native court at Awka. Tradition said an Eze Nri must never leave Nri or appear like an ordinary man. When refused, the British reportedly issued a final threat. If he did not come and cooperate, if he did not remove the old taboos, they would destroy Nri and its people. Faced with the possibility of mass killing, Obalike broke the boldest rule. He left Nri and walked into the court at Awka. Witnesses said that when he entered, the whole assembly rose and prepared to flee. It was the first time anyone had seen an Eze Nri in persons who was forced to annul the core Nri taboos and codes of abomination that bound towns to Nri. Soon after, warrant chiefs and local leaders were also pressured to publicly denounce the Eze Nri. That was the real end of Nri's 1,000-year system, not because Nri lost a war, but because, after failing to defeat Nri militarily, the British used fear, threats, and legal force to tear down the spiritual structure from the inside.